Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about the political ramifications for U.S. American politics from the film Vampires versus the Bronx, which is a Netflix 2020 movie. So let's jump right into this. So first and foremost, spoilers for Vampires versus the Bronx in this, and also a huge recommendation for this film. So Vampire versus the Bronx is a really brilliant film, and there's lessons in it which the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, and American voters can walk away with. So basically, this is a brilliant film. I really love this film. I can't recommend it highly enough. 5 out of 5 stars. What's special about this, and what can we learn from it? Well, this is Goonies meets Blade, right? So one of the things is now Goonies is a great movie, but it wasn't diverse. It had a very undiverse cast. The reality, it had some diversity, but not much, and it was really the story of not a super diverse cast, right? So this has all the flair and all the heartfeltness of Goonies, but also has the action and the coolness and the fright factor of Blade. Right, it is a really unique, special movie. Now, what does it teach us about politics? Well, the movie Vampire versus the Bronx has a scene where Miguel, I think it's Miguel, one of the protagonists, lays out the law for his other two friends. The story is about three friends who are two Hispanic and one black, young, I would say junior high age boys fight these vampires together who are invading the Bronx. There's only 5 vampires, but they're fighting them. And there's one Haitian girl who comes in and assists them as well, right? And the reality is, one of the things that the movie does really, really well that I thought was brilliant was the movie lays out, there's one scene where Miguel says, this is what, says, they're all 3 boys are talking and saying, what do we need to worry about? We need to go destroy this vampire nest. What are we going to run into? And Miguel breaks it down, and he's like, all right, listen, in order to kill a vampire, you have to stake them in the heart with wood. You can also stake them in the heart with silver. Also, garlic is a repellent to them. Also, they can be burned and massively damaged by holy water, and a Eucharist in their mouth will kill them, right? And he also says they cannot enter any facility if they are not invited into it, right? They can't enter any type. Yeah, they can't enter a facility if they're not invited into it, right? They can enter any facility they own, right? Because you don't need to be invited onto your own property, right? That actually becomes a point in the movie. So why is this special? Why is it special that this movie did a Scream breakdown? This came from the movie Scream, which is a classic horror movie, and it's called the Scream breakdown for a reason. Scream gave the rules of horror movies right in the movie, right? And so the reason why this is important is they say this is what we're dealing with these vampires, right? And they say this is the rules of our vampires, and it tells in one scene, it tells the viewer exactly what to expect. Now, what's that got to do with American politics? Well, one of the reasons why we are struggling so much right now is that Donald Trump absolutely shredded all of the norms, virtually every norm of the presidential role, right? Normally, presidents are supposed to come forward and be very honest, and the expectation was that they would be honest and they would be forthright. That did start to break down with some of our recent presidents. People were like, maybe they're not honest or forthright. But that was the norm. The other thing is that the idea that they would be civil, right? The other idea is that even the majority, they're going to lie every now and then, but the majority of the things they say will be true or based on facts, right? Donald Trump just broke all those norms down, right? The other thing is tweeting. This is really incredible. Donald Trump began tweeting to the American people, right? Now, you can absolutely argue that the content he was tweeting might not have been the best content in the world, that the frequency he was tweeting at might have been too high, but I'll tell you right now, breaking down the normal traditional, I'm only going to talk to the people through the filter of the media, just going straight to Twitter and saying whatever he wants at any moment of the day to the American people, that's a major change, right? That is breaking a huge norm, because normally the media was a filter for presidential speech to the American people, and Donald Trump actually shattered that, right? And whenever he wanted to, he could just go right to the American people, say whatever he wanted, right through Twitter, right? And that is a dramatic change, right? So all this goes to point out that, one of the things that's great one of the things that's really interesting in the Vampires versus the Bronx is they laid out the rules, right? And it's a great movie because you know what to expect. Well, right now we're having a terrible presidency because we don't know what to expect from Donald Trump. We're confused, we're frustrated, we're really like just alarmed because so many norms have been broken, and we don't know what the rules of engagement are, right? Not the press, clearly not Donald Trump's employees, clearly not his own base, right? Clearly not the Democrats or the Republicans. Nobody really knows what the real answer is, right? What the regular norms of interacting with these things are. And so that's one of the things I think is really awesome is Vampire versus Bronx said, if you're going to have a horror movie, right, if you want this, and Vampire versus the Bronx is an hour and 26 minutes, and it is absolutely a brilliant film, right? So one of the super cool things about this film is they get a lot of great storytelling done incredibly quickly, right? And the way they can do that is they set these norms and they set them into place, right? So that's kind of what we need there to be norms set, or at the very minimum, somebody to say, these are the norms. Let's stop pretending that these aren't the norms, and that all those old traditions are now truly gone, right? And so that's one of the things that Vampire from the Bronx versus the Bronx sets, is to say, let's all understand what the rules are now, right? Let's all not pretend and really accept where we are at in what the rules of engagement are. And that's one of the things. So we don't need to worry about this in this month, but on November 3rd, or 2 to 4 weeks after that, or 6 weeks, we'll know who the new president is. And at that point, we should really determine right quick what the rules of engagement are, because I think that's one of the reasons why this was such a great film, and it's one of the reasons why we're struggling as a nation right now to have a good presidency, right? So if Donald Trump gets in, we're not going to ask Donald Trump what's the rules of engagement. We can just say, hey, let's stop pretending. These are the new rules, and they're going to be the rules for 4 years. So let's start dealing with that fact rather than complaining about it, right? And start interacting with these new rules stated, right, and made clear, right? And I think, the media is probably going to have to do that job. I don't know if they're willing to, right? Because I think they're much more comfortable complaining about the rules not being clear rather than saying, we all really know what the rules are. Like, it's not hard to see, what Donald Trump's pattern is. He's got a pretty clear pattern. People just don't want to accept that it is a pattern and it is a rules of engagement, right? And if Biden gets in, that's going to be challenging too, because the rules of engagement there are going to be highly different. And so we're going to need, we might need clarity from the Democrats or Republicans right away. I don't think the Democrats or the Republicans will set the rules of engagement. We need an objective third party within the media to do it, right? And I think that'll be the best way to do it. Frankly, I may do it. I might say these are the rules that we're under. You might not like them, but these are the identified rules, right? Because that's one of the cool things is Miguel had watched, he had seen the patterns, and he declared what the rules were, what the rules of engagement. This is what a vampire is. This is what a vampire can do. This is what we're going to have to do to defeat, these vampire creatures, right? And I think just we need clarity on what the rules are, and there really hasn't been clarity lately. Or there has been clarity, and nobody's willing to accept and look at the reality. And that was a major theme within Vampires versus the Bronx as well. The first thing they saw, Miguel and his friends did when they found out there were vampires in the Bronx was they called up the police. And the police just couldn't even see the reality of it. They wouldn't accept it, right? And that's where we're at. It's just been so frightening and alarming to people, they just wouldn't even accept the reality. We need to spin that back. We need to accept the reality and realize where we are now, right? And let's define these rules of engagement. Let's say them out loud, and let's get people on board so we can start understanding what world we live in and deal with the problems that come up from our own government, right? In peaceful and beneficial ways. All that's my opinion. What do you think? Did you see this awesome movie? What do you think we can learn politically from Vampires vs. the Bronx. Brilliant film. If you ain't seen it, go see it. It is good, right? All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.